What's up, everybody? It's your favorite counselor here, Miss Marita, back with another episode here on My Favorite Counselor, so stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, and today's episode is all about goal setting. So we're going to talk about the two different types of goals, and we're also going to talk about what it means to make SMART goals. So let's get started. So you may be saying, well, Miss Marita, what is a goal? I'm glad you asked. Well, according to Webster's dictionary, it is the end towards which effort is directed. A goal. Alright, so simply put, a goal is an end product that you work towards achieving over time. So as you're going through high school and working on making that transition to college, it's important to set goals along the way to keep you focused. So typically when setting goals, you have one of two types of goals. That is short-term and long-term goals. Short-term goals can range up to 1 year, whereas a long-term goal typically is 1 year or more. So for example, you might be setting a short-term goal of achieving a higher grade in a specific class, or you might be setting a long-term goal and getting your GPA to a 4.0 by the time you graduate. Those are just two examples, but either way, you want to make sure that along the way that you're setting both short-term and long-term goals. And what we're going to talk about today is how to make sure you set SMART goals. So as I said, you want to make sure that you focus on setting goals that are SMART. That is, you want to make sure you set goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and all your goals should have a time frame. So let's tackle each one of those one at a time. So you want to make sure that you're setting goals that are specific. That is, you want to make sure you have a goal that's not too broad or general in nature. So for example, you wouldn't set a goal that you want to exercise more. Well, what do you mean by more, and what do you mean by exercise? Do you mean strength training, muscle conditioning? Do you mean more by more times in the gym, more times at home? What does that mean? So you want to always make sure that your goals are specific, that you pinpoint exactly what it is that you want to do. So I'll put that back on you. If exercise was one of the goals that you had, how would you be able to make that more specific? Go ahead, I'll wait. You may have said, I want to make sure that I complete an exercise regimen maybe 3 days a week. Or you may have been specific and said, I want to be able to run a 5K by the end of October. If you made any examples like that, you're a little bit more on track to making sure that your goal is specific. Now let's move on to M. So secondly, when you're creating goals, you want to make sure that your goals are measurable. That means that you're able to track your progress over time. So if you never give yourself an idea of how to track that progress, how will you know if you're working towards your goal? So back to that same example, if you said you wanted to exercise, but you made it more specific by denoting how many times a day you wanted to exercise or the amount of time you wanted to spend each day on exercise, how will you know if you made progress in that area? Well, some simple ways to do this is to make sure that you have benchmarks along the way. So if you say you wanted to increase your exercise regimen up to 3 days per week, at least you know that by the end of the week, if you haven't done those 3 days, you did not quite make progress towards your goal for that week. But it's okay. You could always continue to work to get that goal later on.
Alright, you still with me? Alright, good to know.
Let's get to the third part of our goals. Whenever we're making SMART goals, we want to make sure that what we're creating is something achievable. Can you actually do it? Is the question you should be asking yourself when you're making your goals. Now, of course, we all have these grandiose ideas of things that we want to do, but let's be real. If we never achieve that goal, how much encouragement or motivation will we have to continue working or progressing towards that particular goal? I'm guessing none. So you want to make sure that the goals that you set are achievable. Again, back to our example of exercise. Is it achievable for you to be able to increase that exercise regimen up to 3 days a week? Or is that something that you're just not able to commit to? Or is the specific exercise routine that you're planning on doing, is it something that your body is already accustomed to doing either way. So for instance, if you're the person who wants to run that 5K at the end of the month, do you run? Well, we might want to make sure that if we're not quite there yet, again, we're making goals that we know we'll be able to achieve by the end of that time. If you've never put on a running shoe or ran the track, maybe you want to scale that goal down just a little bit to make sure that it's something that you're actually going to achieve, which kind of leads us into number 4. When creating your goals, you want to make sure that your goal is realistic. That's right. Is it realistic for who you are and what your current routines are? So no need to guilt yourself into exercising 5 days a week if you already know that you have activities on 4 of those 5 days. It's just not realistic for your particular schedule. But it may be realistic to have 1 day solely dedicated to that exercise routine. Or if you know, again, that you've never run a day in your life, but you want to run this 5K by the end of October, which ends in 2 days, maybe we want to adjust that to being able to walk that much within the next 2 months. But little steps along the way, again, help to make sure that your goal is truly realistic to your lifestyle and who you are. Make sure that you're not holding yourself to an impossible standard for you and your lifestyle, but that you're really creating goals that are going to, again, motivate you to get to the finish line. And lastly, you cannot make any goals without being mindful of the time frame. Give yourself time in which to meet those goals. In other words, you should not have any indefinite goals, meaning that there's no time for which you have to achieve them. If that's the case, then there's no point in working towards them, right? Exactly. Is your goal something you can reach in 3 months? Is it something that's going to take 3 weeks? Is it something that's going to take you another 3 days to do? All those things help you determine, again, if you're progressing in a great way or a successful way towards reaching that particular goal. So you want to make sure that you are always giving yourself a time by which to reach that goal. All right, so let's do a quick review. When we are making goals, our goal should be what? Our goal should be SMART. Our goal should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and they should always have a time frame. Tell them what they want, Bob! All right, so I do have some homework for you tonight. Yes, some homework. So what I want you to do is I want you to set some short-term and long-term goals, and I'm going to give you some categories for which to set those goals in. We want to start with our academic goals. In other words, we want to start with those goals that we can achieve right now in school. So that may be related to your GPA or a particular class that you want to improve your grade in. The second category are your career goals. So those goals that you desire to meet in order to be ready or prepared for your specific career. So does that mean that you may want to get an internship or shadow someone that has any insight into the career that you want? Thirdly, I want you to set some college goals. So these goals can be related to the type of college that you want to get into, or even some activities that you want to be involved in when you get to that particular campus. Either way, I really want you to take some time, sit down, write some goals that are either short-term or long-term, and make sure that those goals are SMART. All right, guys, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found the information super beneficial. You want to make sure that you like, that you subscribe, that you comment, and that you share these videos. As always, I post new videos here every Sunday, so make sure you check back every week for another brand spanking new episode here on My Favorite Counselor. Remember, you can always email me at myfavoritecounselor@gmail.com. That's my FAVOURITE counselor@gmail.com, and you might just see your question answered here on the Counselor's Take. Feel free to make sure you leave me comments below and let me know what type of episodes you want to see here on this channel. But until then, listen. If you ain't talking about college, you already know.